Hi, and welcome to Hopton Analytics Forecasting, Planning and Analysis, or FP&A, presentation of Hopton's FP&A tool powered by Aimplan. In the next 30 minutes, what we're going to do is cover the following. We're going to talk about what FP&A is from Hopton. We're going to look at how Hopton's FP&A can help you. We'll have a quick demo. We'll talk about the main benefits of the solution, and we'll talk about how you can get the most out of it as a business. So into the detail. So as I say, we've only got 30 minutes, and thanks very much for attending today. Really do appreciate all of you coming along, but we'll keep it to that 30 minutes because I know you're all very busy. So what we're going to do is look at how we can use this tool to provide FP&A functionality for your organization. We do this using Power BI. Power BI is a fantastic visualization and reporting tool. It's got a load of functions and features, and we want to make use of those. One of the things that Power BI lacks is the ability to visualize things cleanly and in a way that accountants and finance folk tend to prefer, and the ability to write back. And we have that very solution because the FP&A tool from Hopton is powered by Aimplan, and we'll come on to that in a bit. We're also going to see, just as I say, how we can enter data directly into Power BI and store that centrally. So we maintain the information, we can move away from Excel for planning and forecasting, and we're using a tool that we're all familiar with in Power BI. And finally, we can connect to existing data sets too. So we're also seeing data sets which we have got, perhaps our ERP system, perhaps Excel spreadsheets even that are historical or we need as part of our business. We can do that. Really important thing that I should have mentioned is that we can create different scenarios, which allows us to test and simulate how things might look and compare them with Power BI analytics. These are really powerful tools. I hope you will agree. So what do we get really, and why use it? Well, one of the things with Hopton's FP&A tool is it allows us to move away from disconnected manual spreadsheets for processing, which are inefficient. You've got to consolidate them. You're going to end up with things, errors. You're going to end up with formulaic errors, and you're going to end up with missing spreadsheets. We move away from that. With the tool, we can access accurate, up-to-date information straight from our ERP and finance system and other baseline systems that we need for planning models. This means, again, that we move away from that need to manually create and collect this information, which is prone to errors. That can go away. We can configure data entry templates within Power BI custom visuals that support live calculation formulas, copy and paste and more. And we'll see some of that in a second. And finally, for this, we can control and maintain what our master data is and who has access to it. We can also control data in other areas, such as other systems for cost centers, currencies, exchange rates. Wherever you might have these things, we can manage them. So what is it in a nutshell? In a nutshell, Hopton's FP&A is a user-friendly, flexible, secure, scalable solution for financial planning and analysis. And we'll have a look at it now. So I'm just going to go to the start here. So what is it? We're going to look at a few different use cases and scenarios, some of which will resonate, some of which won't, depending upon your job role. But I'm confident you'll see a benefit for each and every one of these within your organization. So first of all, let's look at, just for completeness, what a standard profit and loss might look like if you were using standard Power BI. And that's it. In effect, what we're looking at here is a simple matrix visual. There's nothing groundbreaking about it. It is literally just a visual as a matrix. And it's, you know, good. It serves a purpose, but it isn't what most finance people expect. And it certainly isn't what most finance people would want to see. In actual fact, what they would rather use is a traditional P&L view of the world. And Hopton's FP&A tool, using and powered by Aimplan, what we're able to do is take your profit and loss and create a much more user-friendly, acceptable even view of a P&L. Now, this is fantastic in that we design, or you design, exactly how this looks, what goes where, what totals up, exactly the relevant categories, where we want subtotals, where we want subcategories. You configure this, which is fantastic. If you want, this can be disabled, but if you want, you've got standard Power BI functionality now, so we can start to use the ability to make selections, and we'll see our data flex and change accordingly. Now, you don't have to, of course, but you can, that being the important thing. Equally, we could say we want to look at just a number of projects, or just a number, perhaps, of cost centers. We're only interested in specific cost centers, and we'll see that data change. The other thing you'll notice at the top is company, so we can bring in multiple companies into the one view here. One of the other questions that we often get asked is, how do we go about security? So we've got multiple companies, but we don't want everybody to be able to see them. Well, that's fine. We use standard Power BI security, which allows us to say certain people can either see certain companies, certain projects, certain cost centers, whatever it is that's important to you. So what else can we start to look at? Well, we can start to look at profit and loss versus plans. These are all things that you will do via Excel. Often we can start to bring these in. And what is the plan? Well, the plan can be multiple scenarios. So we can set these up, and we'll see this in a second, where we start to configure and write back to scenarios. We can go in here and decide what values we want in these, which is fantastic. Now, we've still got that ability to do simple KPIs, so this is also important. So yes, we can use the FP&A tool to do full-blown financial reporting, as you've just seen there, but we can also use it to start to do things like view KPIs. Now, you'll do these in an organization many times over, but the one thing that often happens is that the data will come from Excel or similar, which is fine and great, but we can replace that using our FP&A tool. And we do it because we can allow write back. So I can come along here and say this KPI is actually not 250, but 1,200. And you'll see that within seconds, what's going to happen is the data is going to change. Now, that isn't just within Power BI, that's being written back to the data source. So we've now updated this within Power BI, but we're updating our actual data source. Now, you might be looking at that thinking, well, that's not special, but that really is within Power BI, because we're using it to fundamentally affect our underlying data. And we can now see this. And there's many different use cases and scenarios for this. So we could use this within the organization. The management team can have an area such as this to update their data, and we see in real time those changes that are made. Now, you can use it for cost forecasting as well, of course. So again, I've got a plan. I perhaps want to look at specific cost centers. And I can see my data here. Now, what I can do is say that actually that number there isn't 547, it's 389, and we'll see all this data change. Another really cool thing is that the allocation of the numbers that you put in here don't have to be manual. I can allocate based upon the average over the last 3 years, AI, machine learning, artificial intelligence, projected costs, or last year's costs. Or I can take suggestions, and all of that can be configured to suit you. With permissions, you can also add comments to these as well. So you've changed a figure to be 389, let's say, but why have you changed that? Well, I'll add a comment and I'll specify why. Again, we talked about scenarios. So here's scenario for 2021. Forgive the out-of-date data, but I could have a different scenario, which looks like this. And I can see all my numbers in this, and all the numbers there have changed. So it's entirely up to you. In terms of scenarios, another question we get asked is how many? Pretty much unlimited. There is a technical limitation, but you just won't get there. Now, we're changing numbers here. We're not changing numbers in the ERP system. We're using this as a forecasting and planning tool. But an obvious question would be, yeah, but we're changing fundamental data. That's okay. We have a full audit history, so we can see what's going on and we can see who changed what. So whilst I'm changing things here, a colleague, Emil, he's changing things too, and we can see that on the fly, which is neat. So we've talked there about financial reporting. Fantastic, we can do that. You can see how that's possible. We can also use it for sales forecasting. So I think my product sales revenue in June isn't going to be 30,000. It's actually going to be 42,000. I can change that number. And when I do change it, what will happen is, you see there, we got a spike there. So again, we're changing things, but this is having an immediate impact upon the data underneath it, which is cool. Now, I'm not going to go over all of these, but you get a flavor as to what's possible, which is the key here. So I could use this for managing sales volume planning. How many of each product are we going to sell versus many different simulations? And I want to do it by indirect sales, and I want to look at customer class A and B, and I specifically want to look at mobile rather than computers as an example. And of course, that'd be the one with no data in. So you can really start to use it to flex the data that you've got, which is pretty neat. Now, it doesn't just have to be Excel files like this. We can also start to look at employee time. So now what I'm going to do is take this information and start to record the amount of time, perhaps projected, that we're going to see individuals work. And we can see that change and update. And so this is, again, another really neat way of using the data to pull in much more information than perhaps is otherwise there. And you could do that for anything. So employee utilization, if you're in the services business. So I've got per person what they've achieved. Some of this could come from ERP. Some of it could just be manually input, project forecasting, and so on. You can also use it rather than just Excel files. You can use it for things like this. I want to be able to control the account hierarchy that we've got. So here I can see this is what would otherwise be a spreadsheet. I can see this account here is a balance sheet item. It's on the assets and it's currently on machinery. I'm going to put it on real estate and land. And that'll write back to the system. And that can be used any way you want. So another example of that would be the use for project management. I want to use this to write back key pieces of information and then store it. So this is super quick lightning tour of what's possible, but hopefully you get a flavor. So what can we do? You can already see that really the Hopton FP&A tool supports continuous planning and rolling forecasts without the use of Excel, which is a fantastic thing. The benefits, well, hopefully you can already see. Our solution powered by Aimplan provides user-friendly, flexible, secure, scalable solutions. You can implement data logging and auditing to track what's changed, who and when. This means that you can keep track of changes and ensure that your data is accurate. We can use the solution to create low-code, no-code apps inside Power BI for data entry, data cleansing, data management. Makes it far easier to manage data and ensure it's accurate. And because our solution is SaaS, it can be set up within days, not weeks or months. So we really are in the ability to do things quickly and easily. So just to recap of some of the solutions or some of the use cases. So we saw how you could use it there for demand and sales planning. So connect it to CRM and ERP and analyze past sales and activities. Using the Hopton FP&A powered by Aimplan means that we can transform Power BI into a forward-looking revenue planning and forecasting tool. So we're moving beyond traditional finance. You can use it for cost center and workforce planning, allocate costs, use those drivers as well. So each of the drivers that we have to then manage that within this system and report on it. We've got integrated financial planning and analysis, which is the core of it. And you've seen that there. So you can see different scenarios. You can manage your live data alongside your predicted data and see things flex and change as you go. You can simplify projects and forecasting for reporting. So combine actuals from your live systems and time reporting system and update costs and time and estimates all around it. And finally, another example is KPI and production reporting without the need for spreadsheets. So we move away from that and we start to use the tool to really get the best out of it. So timeline. Well, normally an implementation of this, and this is elapsed time, not time for the actual work. Elapsed time is 1 to 5 weeks. So 1 to 5 weeks and we'll be done. It'll be business as usual, BAU. You'll be handed over to the customer success team and your solution will be live and working. And we're really proud of that. A lot of systems can take an age. We don't do that. So who would you be working with? My name's Simon Devine. You can see me there. My colleagues, David, Nicola and Shauna primarily work on this. So we'd be working with you. And what data sources as well. So it really doesn't matter. Here's a flavor of the different systems that we've got. The one that I saw actually that I think is missing there is NetSuite, but of course that's in there as well. And really, providing we can get access to it, we can do something with this, which is great. And there's not many systems, if any, that we can struggle with. So you've invested in Hopton's FP&A, you're using it, but what else could you do with Power BI because you want to really use the tool? Well, here's just a few examples. And it really is whatever you can think of. In terms of what we've produced at Hopton, we've produced a series of finance solutions, debt, credit, purchase, distribution, sales archiving, quality management, our WMS solution, retail analysis by sales by product and store, by sales versus returns, predictive analytics, Shopify reporting, AI, customer intelligence, item intelligence, advanced sales reporting. Really the options of what you could achieve and what we in Hopton have achieved mean we will have more than one solution to suit. So before we finish, I'm aware of the time. Q&A. So thanks to those who've put their questions in the chat. I appreciate you can't see them, but we can. So questions so far. What advantages does this give you over Excel? Well, it's a centralized system. It's full auditability that we've seen. You've full control over it. You've got security, which we've seen. And depending upon your data size, you will be more than familiar with Excel grinding to a halt. That's not going to happen with this solution. So I think that's really cool. Another one, Excel related, can we use Excel as a data source, and can we bring data from Excel into the system? Yep, absolutely we can. I think we covered off in our session. Can we apportion costs using different methods? Yes, we absolutely can. So we had a right-hand mouse click, and there were 3 or 4 different options there that we saw. Same with how many forecasts or scenarios can we have? It's pretty much unlimited. There will be a technical limitation, but it's just not something that you'll need to worry about. Can it write back to ERP? Yes, but in reality, you wouldn't normally do this. Yeah, you can update it, but you'd be using Hopton's FP&A, as most ERP tools have limited FP&A functionality anyway. So probably leave it where it is. Can I control access by department or country or cost center? Yeah, 100%. And we saw how you can filter it, but actually we can control access based upon the user that's logging in. What's the cost? So the cost really does depend upon your setup and specifically your requirements. So we'll work with you directly on that. So after this, we'll get in touch, and to those who've expressed an immediate interest in it, we'll talk straight away about what that'd look like in terms of cost with you, which is great. How much time? A basic system, how much time is a good question. Fully functioning can take a little bit longer than a simple, clean financial reporting system. So I just want to use it to read, not write back. That doesn't really take any time at all. A larger system, we're still not talking any more than really days, really, rather than weeks or months. But again, we'll work with you on that when we understand your specific requirements. Final one, you mentioned drivers such as revenue, customers, debtor days. What other examples could you have? So I suppose it depends whatever you want. So I know a couple of retailers on the call today. So examples there would be square footage, store size, head count, maybe, new products coming online, and that'd be great for scenarios as well, especially in retail. Customer acquisition cost, inventory cost, margin, really whatever you can think of as a driver for P&L, you can bring in, whatever you've got the information. It's probably it. So finally, what's next? Well, we will get in touch with you all. Thanks very much again for coming along today. Our next session is on AI and is on the 16th of September at 9:30, and hopefully we will see some of you then. All right, thank you very much.